Welcome, everybody. This is the Get Reelisms podcast. I am by myself today. This is Christine Chen, and my co-host, Adam Chase Rainey, is surprisingly not here for today. But we have an awesome guest instead. How about you introduce yourself?
Well, a lot of my friends call me Nick, but my real name is Mike Yuva. I'm the author of the Grip book.
Awesome. Well, Mike, you look suspiciously like Santa Claus. Do you want to tell me?
Nick. Maybe that's it. Nick. I think I look more like Brad Pitt myself. I can see the almost Santa resemblance.
So I guess before we dive into your past as a key grip, how are you Santa Claus right now?
You know how the world works by accidents,
yeah,
whatever. I was at my daughter, I remarried, and my wife's daughter has a day school, bunch of children, where their Santa got sick, and she said, Dad, can you come in and fill in for Santa for the, this one time our guy's not available? So I said, sure. So she brings out literally the $20 bad Santa suit, the matted beard, and the crumply old wig, and it smelled like alcohol. It was like, the smoke you could smell. You put the beer on. Oh. So I went ahead and did it, and it was so much fun. We were waiting in line, and all the kids are coming up to the window. It's a little rain outside, and I'm inside in the big window, and I stand up and I'm stretching like this, and I see a little boy trying to get, over the ceiling. Look, and I'm stretching, and I look at him and I point like, you. And the little boy goes, me? And he just went bat crap crazy. He went, oh! And that's when I became Santa Claus.
That's cool. And when did you were you still gripping when you became Santa Claus, or had you since retired prior to that?
I was still gripping. I was doing, I think I started gripping 1976.
Oh, wow.
1980. I don't think you were born yet.
No, I was born in 1985. So I
85, I love it.
I had not been gripping. I did not know anything about films at that time. How old were you when you started being a grip? And was that the first position that you had, or you had many positions before you became a grip?
In the film industry or prior to the film industry?
I guess tell me a little bit how you ended up in the film industry, and then how you ended up being key grip, because I assume you didn't just wake up and be like, I'm a key grip.
right. No, it's like anybody else. It's funny because all the events happen, just
accidentally.
Yeah. So I get out of the Marines 1976, and I go to jet school, and I was an aircraft mechanic in the Marines, and I'm going to get my official license. Well, my sister's dating somebody in the film industry who's working as a grip. I said, hey, I'd like to go on a studio one time and check it out. So he said, yeah. So he brings me on, and I check it out. I'm going, are you guys nuts? How do this is not safe. These guys I have to be an aircraft mechanic. It's all got to be, perfect, inspected. And how we work in the film industry. Fast go, we do the best work ever and tear it down. So say, what happened?
Yes.
So I'm watching these guys, and I go, like anybody else, I could do that stuff. So lo and behold, a couple of years later, he gets this job, and he says, hey, we need an extra body, somebody, a stepping fish, carry stuff in.
Sure.
So I'll go get a book on it, and I'll learn all about it. So when they call for a C-stand or a wedge, I'll know what they're talking about. Well, there was no book. So I started writing. I always carry a little notepad, and I write it, and so I started writing down notes, and and then I started taking, remember the old Polaroids?
Yes.
Paper camera boxes you could buy for $5.
Yes.
So I started out with one note, then 5 notes, and then 10. And when I got to 1,000, I said, I better organize these a little bit.
Sure.
So I made my own little note cheat sheet, like what do they call it? Cliff notes.
Sure.
And that's how the grip book developed. So somebody, hey, can I borrow your notebook? So that's how I learned. And then I would be sent to the truck, get the equipment for the key grip. And the classic thing, you as an AD, you want somebody to keep their eyes on you with their mouth shut, and don't
Mm-hmm.
stand in the eye line, and don't stand in front of a friggin' light.
Correct.
And just
Yes.
be there. If I turn around, you better be moving in my direction with what I need, right?
Yes.
They got to anticipate. So I learned how to anticipate by having really good teachers. It was all non-union at the time, but it was wonderful for me.
That's funny. How you started your book is exactly how I kind of started our book, which is what the Get Reelisms podcast is based off of, Get Reelisms. It was the same thing. I had, when you're on set as an AD, you work with a lot of PAs, production assistants that are green. And despite going to film school, they still don't know a lot of stuff. And I started to notice I kept repeating the same information over and over again. And so I know, there's during Christmas or special holidays roll around and people never know what to give filmmakers. And so I have had my share of coffee mugs shaped like a lens, or a shot glass shaped like a lens, stuff like that. And I said, wouldn't it be funny if I made like a gag gift? It was originally intended to be a gag gift for filmmakers. I've always loved adult picture books and like Everyone Poops or All My Friends Are Dead, things like things that are dark and humorous. And I thought, hey, let's how about we make something for film, because there are online dictionaries and lists of things about filmmaking terms, but that can get dry sometimes. And I feel like on a film set, there's a specific humor, especially when you've been on a film set for so long, you get salty and a little bit jaded, and the humor comes out even more. And so I wanted to incorporate that into a book form, but make it extremely approachable, hence the fully illustrated puns that you see in Get Reelisms. So it was exactly the same. I had instead of a notepad, I had my phone, and in my phone I had a notepad, and I would jot down terms I would hear. Funny enough, most of them are grip terms that people would use, and I would, take photos. I would make notes of as to like, what's a taco cart, and all these different funny terms, and I assembled what I felt were the most basic ones into the Get Reelisms book, and and that's how ours was born. So that's funny that your book, which I have, that I am excited to peruse, the grip book, is also that way. So I'm gonna take my blur because it's messing everything up. But yeah, the grip book. So I'm excited to go through and learn, because like the grip department is so important when it comes to like safety and securing things, and it's everything to do with how we put up the camera or how we secure lights, and so it's just a whole department that I am fascinated by, but definitely am still learning, because my role, as you've probably read now, is AD. That's my bread and butter. I'm a first assistant director.
Sure.
And my primary goal is I want to direct. Directing is my love. So
I can tell you, I looked at your IMD, and I'm not usually impressed by actors and actresses or directors. They're just people, same as you and I. We both know that.
Yes.
But I was so impressed by you. You've got, like they used to say in 1,000 years ago, you got that it factor. Honest to God, I'll say this on your podcast worldwide. I'm going to send your information to my publisher, Focal Press. And if you want,
yes,
if they want to publish your book, if you decide to ever go with an international book or anything like that.
I would love that. Yeah, right now we didn't know anything about book publishing and just did it like self-published by ourselves. But we
I
have,
still don't.
yeah,
I'm really good at sandbag and wedge.
perfect.
But
Yes.
I was so impressed by it. And your book was written with humor, tongue in cheek, gallows humor. I
Yeah.
love it. 101 ways what to do with a dead cat type book. I love that book, 1,000 years. I don't want to get anybody upset, but it was a funny book.
Yeah.
And
I don't know. I just find that what we do is there's so much stuff that, makes no sense whatsoever. And it's funny to me.
right.
And I definitely learned by doing. I never officially went to a class, school of anything. And so I think when you learn by doing, you learn a lot of times of what not to do. And you also, there's, I don't know, there's just this, humbleness to figuring it out,
Yeah.
so that's been my journey, has been figuring it out. So that goes with directing, that goes with writing, that goes with everything. It's been like trial and error, what to do and not to do, and everything. So I love this journey of being a filmmaker, and just learning about the different departments. And for me, teaching is the way that I can give back. And I think that's important.
That's the rarity right
To
there.
give back.
Very few people will share their knowledge, as you already know. They're afraid you're going to take their job. My deal is I'm going to train as many people as I can, get them as good as I am or better. Then I'm going to hire them, and I'm going to look really good. Then when I get old and fat and gray, I am. I'm going to call those guys and tell them, hey, I need a job. Remember, sucker, when you started out? And it still works. I actually, even though I've retired since 2013, I still have my local 80 card, and I pay my dues, and I'll go in and I'll pick and choose a few days when they're the easy days and they can bring the old fat guy on. You can slough the man. You got 7, 8 guys. Well, they're not going to make the old guy run up into the perms. Go, hey, Yuva, go over and push Dolly's seal. Okay. You run over and do it.
Yeah. I mean, you still love it. Yeah. Like
I grew old. I just never grew up. And this is the industry that you can do it in.
Yes.
And you have, and I am actually very impressed by you. I don't know you from Adam. I never met you. We actually had the same, you did a podcast, right?
Yes.
And that's how he threw me your name. He said, you got to meet this young lady. She's a firecracker. And okay, you hear it every so often. And then the more I talk to you, I told my wife, I said, you can tell this lady's young, but she's got it. And that's so. Whatever you're doing, keep doing it. And I can tell you right now, you cannot outgive giving. The more you give, this is not the reason I give. I do it because I love it. I became Santa because I don't even care about the money. And the more I don't care about it, the more they pay me.
Yeah, I really love it. And I love, I'm teaching right now at AFI sometimes to teach ADing and everything. But I didn't really go through the industry having a role model in terms of like, the film industry is not what your parents aspire you to go into.
Be a dentist, be a lawyer. You want to do what? A singer? But you're not.
Yeah, exactly. So I was lost, I would say, half the time. Still am here and there, but I've figured a lot of things out along the way. And if I can help to make the journey less scary for people who love it, why not? So that's because I wish I had somebody that did that for me as well. And I've been lucky to have people who have had a lot of faith in me. I mean, I have investors that invested in my first film that just came out, Erzulie, that you should watch. And so I wouldn't be here without people who've been patient to teach me how to do things, how not to do things. So I made Get Reelisms for the purpose of, I just remembered the first time I was on set, and somebody asked me for a stinger, and I had no freaking clue what that was. And I luckily had a person there that seemed like he was nice, so I would whisper to him and say, like, what is a stinger? And he was very kind. His name is Alex Walker. He's a DP. And he was very kind to explain to me what that is. And then, I picked up things left and right. And this is a little funny secret. I also accidentally fell into ADing. So I produce my own stuff. That's how, when you're starting off as a director, it's a chicken and the egg. Like, people won't hire you to be a director because you don't have anything on your reel that shows that you can direct. But so you have to create your own stuff to show that you can direct. But then to be able to do that, you pretty much have to produce your own stuff to be able to have the stories to direct. And that's kind of what I did. And my friend, who's actually coincidentally my roommate, she's a makeup artist in the industry. She got a job, this was in Texas, with Mar Vista Films, and they happened to need an AD. And she said, hey, you should be the AD. And I said, what the F is an AD?
Love it.
And she's like, you already do that. So I went and Googled AD and found assistant directing, and it said, oh, it makes the schedule and tell people. I'm like, oh, I thought the producer did all that, because I had been doing all of that. Yeah, all for all my films. And so my first feature was the first time I ever AD'd on, and I still had no clue half of the terms that people were saying, but I just kind of like faked it till I made it type thing. And people were like, okay, let's flip the world. And I just was like, yes, let's do that. I had no clue what that meant.
Right.
But I was organized enough to end things on time and on schedule. So regardless of not knowing much, and then people kept hiring me to AD. And I have since been in ADs from 2016 till now. But I still want to be a director full time. So that is what I'm working towards. That's why I want to train people to be great at their jobs, so I can hire them to work on my film sets, so that I don't have to AD, and that I can just direct and write stories and stuff like that. So I
gotta tell you, I saw your reel, and your selection, your choices. By the way, whoever you got to shoot your reel, pretty darn nice.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, they're all shorts that Alex Walker did some of the shorts that are in there. So yes, and then my recent feature that just released in June, actually, Swamp Mermaid. So that one was fun. But I just been learning by doing, and by learning, I am able to know how to communicate what I've learned to people who have known nothing, because that's how I started off, was knowing absolutely nothing about the film industry. So that was really excited when I'm like, oh, there's a grip that also wrote a book, and I can read it and learn more about gripping things. Because if people know and have been on set, most grips are curmudgeons and don't want to talk to you.
Yes, we are.
I don't blame them. They're carrying things that are super heavy, twice their strength most of the time, in hot weather and bad conditions. And yeah, it's a hard job, but I don't know. I go to work every day, and I feel lucky.
Do you show up 30 minutes early?
Yes.
Why?
Yes. Because I want to make sure everybody else's time is smooth and that their time isn't
So
wasted.
if you're early, you're actually on time.
That's
If you're on time,
you're actually late. Yes.
If you're late, you're not coming back the next day.
Correct. Yes, that's the old school. That's definitely the saying for sure. I go.
How do you know that?
Well, that's what they say on set. But
you learned that long before you did this, didn't you?
Yeah.
You were always early at everything. Anything you put your mind to it has turned out the way you wanted it to turn out, but not exactly, but you got there by hook or crook.
Correct. That is
It's,
absolutely correct.
that's what I'm saying. There's people in this industry, you've seen all kinds of people, egos, the whole bit. There's two types of people, and now I'm old, retired. The only way you can hurt me now is roll up my paycheck, my retirement check, and poke me in the eye with it. So I can tell the truth. But there are people who talk about it, and you've seen the talkers, and you see the people who do it. Guess what category you're in? You don't even have to guess. You already know. And you've known me a very short time. You can see who I am. You can see my work. I don't have to talk about it. My work.
Right.
Who I am.
Speaks for itself. Yes.
Exactly that. So you don't have to worry about it. You've already made it. The rest of the world just has to discover you.
That's the part that's been frustrating, and part of the reason why I've moved to Los Angeles. I realized that I can make movies anywhere, sure, but unfortunately the decision makers still live in two parts of the world, Los Angeles and New York. So
very true. And that's just for you. Well, you want to play football, you got to go where
yeah,
the teams are at. And that's
exactly.
just part of the deal. But eventually, I remember I used to say, gosh, all those other guys get to get these great jobs. They get to travel these different states and, around the country. And then all of a sudden I went from being a grip to the grip. And I went to Moscow, and I went to Peru. I went to Argentina. I went to Brazil. I went to Holland, and all these places. And I'm literally standing on top, looking down at all these workers. They're great workers. I'm going, if these guys figure out I'm a fraud, I'm dead. You get a little bit of that imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
I still have to this day. And I used to always tell people, I want to retire before they figure out I've been a fraud for 40 years.
Do you have a favorite set memory? Like, can you don't even have to say names or anything, but do you have a favorite set that you were on, and why?
I worked with, I was coming out of the show, Raleigh Studios over there on
Yes.
Sunset, across from
Yes.
Paramount.
I'm aware of that one. Yes.
Yeah, and that was called 1,000 different things. And as I'm driving on, you know where the cantina is, the restaurant there,
Okay.
videos around the back, and that little walkway, and then you go into the newer stages, 12, 14, up toward the street, right? So I'm driving out, and I got a brand new shiny Harley, and I'm looking good. I'm a grip man. I like loud and proud. But they stopped us because they had to move some trucks in. So I'm waiting, and this little Hispanic-looking guy comes out from the cantina way up that alley under the arch and heading toward stage 12. And I see him. He goes, "Hey, nice bike, man." I go, "Oh, thanks, buddy. I love it." He goes, "A lot of chrome. This thing expensive." I go, "Yeah, it's about $20,000. But if you put $500 down on it, you can get it in just finance. I pay $150 a month on it."
Yeah.
Too. Guy just kind of smiles, said, "Oh, thanks." And he had his little apron on and little smudges on it and stuff. A little short guy, brown hair. So he kind of walked on. Finally, they opened, and I drive out. But I knew he was walking up to stage 12, and they were filming a movie up there with a couple actors. It was called Frankie and Johnny.
Okay.
It was Al Pacino talking to me at the bike. I had no idea it was him.
Oh, it's so funny. Oh, wow.
And years later, I work on the movie Heat, and I want to go up to him and say, "Mr. Pacino, you remember that guy on the Harley?" Nah, I ain't going to do it.
That is hilarious.
God's honest truth.
I did something similar. Not Al Pacino. There is an actor named Sung King. He plays Han in Fast and the Furious, if you've seen Fast and the Furious. Mm-hmm. I was ADing his first feature, and I just assumed this is because it was his first feature. I asked him, like, "What do you do besides?" I'm always curious how directors make a living who aren't full-time directors, because that's what I'm trying to crack as well myself. And he was like, "Oh, I act and stuff." I'm like, "Oh, okay." And I'm thinking like background or here and there. And then my second AD because she does the research, she went on IMDb, she's like, "Christine," and she shows me, it's like, "Oh, only like one of the highest grossing Asian actors out there." And I just asked him casually what he did for a living.
But how do you feel not having that pressure on you and act and talking to him like another person, right?
Yeah.
It was great.
So it was fine. And I felt, because I had sent him a rough draft of my film, Erzulie, which and I probably wouldn't have if I knew right off the bat like who he was, but I just that's so funny with Al Pacino because I I hope I stay this way all the time, just clueless about who's celebrity or whatever, because yeah, I think people are just people. So
Are you familiar with the movie where Al Pacino was playing a cook? And that's why
no. Frankie and I'm gonna look that
Frankie and
up.
Johnny with Al Pacino and Michelle Pfeiffer. And
Okay.
he just gotten out of jail. And he was the only job he could get was a cook in some little sleazy diner. And so
Yeah.
this was that guy, he was in costume coming from the men's room, I guess.
Okay.
Next to stage 9 or whatever.
Yeah.
And he's walking up. And so I thought he was just the cook leaving for work. And then there he was going to stage 12 to work.
That's hilarious. I love it. Was he, I mean, at that point, had his career already been?
Oh, yeah. He was
okay.
72.
Okay.
After the
okay,
Godfather.
You just were clueless. That was all.
Yeah, I'm clueless now. I took some pictures with Bradley Cooper over at the Grove as Santa Claus, where I portrayed for a couple of years. And some guy says, "Hey, I saw you took a picture with Bradley Cooper." I said, "No, I didn't." They go, "Yes, you did." I go, "No, I didn't." He pulls up the picture on TikTok, and there's me with Brad. I don't know Bradley Cooper. I took a picture with him and his daughter, who was like,
you had no clue. Love it.
Clue. Yeah, so it's kind of fun. And then I took a picture with another actor, and I used to work on the Sarah Silverman show.
Yes.
And so he sits down, and I go, "Hey, remember that dolly grip shot when you were here and on the set?" And he looked at me like, "How did Santa knows everything?"
Santa knows so much. That's hilarious.
How would I know that one? But I never told him who I was. And then I had a grip sitting next to me, and I had actually been in business with this grip. Flipping houses, buying them, fixing them up, flipping them. And on my side job, I always tell people I can't hold a job, so I do many jobs. But so he sits down and he starts talking. So I'm talking to him. Say, "How's the wife? How's your daughter?" And I'm calling him by name. "How's the dog, Fluffy," or whatever.
Yeah.
Looking, he had no clue because with the beard, the whole bit. And I took off the glasses. And I said, "It's me, Mike." And he was like, "Oh my God." It's the best.
Did you always have a beard, or did you grow that out for Santa?
When I retired, I grew it out full time.
Yeah.
The beard came in, I guess about 8 years ago, 7, 8 years ago now, full time.
Okay.
And because I always kept it short. When you're in the Marines, you have the real short a little bit.
Yeah.
I couldn't even walk on the military base. Speaking of which, because I was in the Marines, I was an aircraft mechanic working the 22 area. Any Marines out there, that's the airfield. And I got invited back as Santa Claus, and they got a big sign at Camp Pendleton, "Welcome Santa." It was such an honor. My fellow Marines were welcoming Santa, and I went up there. It was wonderful.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's the best. That's what I'm saying. You cannot I would not take $1 million, maybe $1 million, but I don't take any money over the memories I got. Those memories are still with me. And like you, with your book, you can see you're paying it forward because you enjoy doing it. Yes. I don't see an ulterior motive other than you enjoy doing it.
Yeah, I enjoy it. Yeah, I enjoy it. I like teaching. I like trying to make someone's life just a little bit easier, because it would have been nice if I had that starting off, but I wouldn't trade it, because I think that gives you perspective. And I think the best people who are at their jobs have perspective. I'm reading this book called Range by David Epstein, I believe, Dan Epstein. And it's about that people think that, because Tiger Woods is Tiger Woods and he started off so young, that the way to geniusness is to start people, specialize them very, very, very early on when they're young. And I went through thinking, I didn't really start film until much later in life. But this book, Range, says that all of your different experiences combined is what gives you that unique perspective. And it's that unique perspective that enables somebody to actually truly have come out with work that's impactful for a long duration of time for the world. And that makes me really happy, because I've I've been all over the board as well, like you. Before I did film, I was EMT. I was a EMT and firefighter.
I love
So, so hence the be able to work under pressure.
it.
I'm
Right?
like, nobody's dying,
I
at
flew
least.
search and rescue. I was a search and rescue swimmer in the Marines. So
Okay.
similarities, same but
Yes,
different.
very. Yeah. Yeah. And I started in documentary filmmaking, actually. I fell into
Okay.
it. And then fell in love with that. And then I took a corporate job for a little bit because I was encouraged to, and traveled. And then one day knew that I didn't like the job I was doing. So then I decided, well, maybe I should be a lawyer. I don't know how I came to that conclusion, but something told me that. So then I went to take an LSAT course, because you have to take the LSATs in order to even qualify. And my LSAT teacher was a filmmaker and invited me onto a 48-hour film project. And I got
Right.
onto it and I said, wait, I don't want to be a lawyer. I want to be a filmmaker. But then I had to not tell my parents that. So,
Right. Right.
so then I figured out that if I wanted to be a full-time filmmaker, I needed a way to support myself. Therefore, I probably would have like a production company or something, which
Right.
means business. So then I went and got my MBA instead, so
Good
that I
stuff.
could, because my parents were okay with that. And
Right.
then graduation said, surprise, I'm going to be a filmmaker
I
with
love
my
it.
own business. And then I've just been making films and trying to survive in the film industry ever since. So,
But your determination. Here I am. I've been around a couple of days now, right?
yes,
I am so impressed by a young. Listen, I've worked with the top, and
yeah,
I just met you. You're going to be the top. You just don't know it yet, and the world will find out because you have that ability. I'm not telling you to see anything you don't already know. You just don't have that confidence yet. I always tell my students when I teach them, when you get in your car, you don't say, "I think my brakes are gonna stop me, but I'll drive it anyway." You just know that you have that confidence already inside. Otherwise, you wouldn't do it.
yeah,
You have that confidence. You went against all the parameters. So you as nicely as you could, as soft, the softballs to your parents. I really don't want to do this. I'd like to do that. And you did all the stuff that you could do, but you're doing it because you have, for lack of other words, you're stubborn.
yeah, I'm extremely stubborn.
And you're going to get it done one way or another. Gosh, why don't we make her an AD? I bet you're a really good AD. You got 10,000 hours in yet as an AD?
Yes, I
Okay.
do.
Tipping point. You're past the tipping
I'm
point.
past the tipping point, according to Malcolm Gladwell. Yes. I love yes, I've been paying my dues as an AD, and I can't wait to just direct. But yeah, but the industry likes me so much as an AD that they don't want me to be just a director. So I keep getting pulled back to AD. I'm even trying to, because being an AD is hard, stress wise. I think I'm a nice AD, but old school mentality says that if you're nice, then you're not good at your job, which I highly, highly disagree with. I feel that the smart way to go about ADing is for everybody to love being there so much that they will work overtime because they want to hang out with you. I think that's better than getting people riled up and angry and not happy and they want to leave as soon as possible. So yeah, I love making it a fun environment. I love when people play music and they're setting things up. I love, getting a beer after rap and complaining about the day and what could be better, and then the next day going back at it and complaining about why we did this to ourselves and why are we waking up at 4 a.m. in the morning to be there, or staying up until the sun goes up.
Right.
I don't know.
Wheels of death. Pizzas. How many pizzas have you eaten over the trash can?
So many.
Gotta go. Ryan in Boston. I have a question for you.
Yes.
Gosh, I got sidetracked here. Oh, I'll go back to listening. I was just listening to you and I just see your aspiration. When it happens, either I can't see the future. I don't know what's going to happen or when it's going to happen, but I can promise you, if you don't give up, and I heard you say this already, if you don't give up, it will happen. It may not be exactly like you think it's going to be.
Right.
I had 7 projects. I've had 8 bucket lists, and I've gotten 7 of them complete. I got 1 more to get.
Ooh.
And, so I'm still going to try. The thing is, I got the book. I can't type. I can't spell. You hear me talk. Anything I write sounds like me talking. And I have no command of the English language. How dare I write a grip book? The first people that read my book, publishers, they said, there is no possible way this book is ever getting published. Nobody wants to be a grip. Nobody wants to be a PA. They want to be a producer. They want to be a director. Be a cameraman, or an actor and actors. That's it. That's it. So nobody wants to do below the line stuff. So I said, this book's going to get published. Well, we're not interested. So I went to a few, got turned down, and ended up self-publishing, like I said.
Yes.
Well, the book is going into the 7th edition. It's over 30 years in print now. I'm working with a major international publisher. Not bragging. This is how it happened. And that publishing company that told me I would never make it, they're out of business.
Oh, yes.
Is that really sweet? And you don't want to stick your tongue out, but you go, I told you so.
Right. Well, I mean,
it's going to be good.
I kind of did the same thing. I didn't try too hard with the publishing thing. I went to a few, got turned down. I was like, I'll just self-publish it. And I know we have something because one day accidentally left it on the crafty table. And the next thing I knew that they were all gone. And I was like, where the F did all my books go? And I saw a PA flipping through it and trying to learn everything. I was like, oh, so I just leave them on the crafty table for people to look at. And
Brilliant.
Every time people want it. So, but I mean, I just think it should be something like parents and people who are just interested in the inner workings of film get, because then you can understand why your kid comes home and says striking randomly or 10-1, 10-2 and all these weird terms. And I don't know, it just makes me I feel like it's a way for people to feel more connected to us because we're weird. And
we're a weird breed of people. We're as normal as anybody can be, but we're weird, and we're in our own little section of the world, and that's okay.
Yes.
But just keep doing what you're doing. Your book is actually better than anything. Mine is written technically, and I had a bunch of pictures, and I have a coloring book and other stuff. The coloring book used to go out with crayons, but the grips kept eating them. So I always make humor on the grips. IR one. And I actually had a license plate that said IR grip on my black Corvette. And of course, the rumors go out from there. Your book is, in this, once again, no stroke, I'm not getting paid anything. It is far superior than what I have. It's much more entertaining. It's educational. And the pictures are worth 1,000 words. And the explanations are simple, and it's clean, and it's to the point. Okay.
Oh, wait. I think your mic got disconnected. I can't hear you anymore. Oh, there you go. Yep.
How about now? Better?
Yes.
Okay. I'm like that. What, you can always tell a grip. You just can't tell them much. But you're on a roll. Anytime, what little, and once again, on your podcast, I'll say it before the world. If you're interested, I'll be happy to set you up with the publisher.
Yes.
I promise you nothing. That's the same thing.
Of course,
I promise all my students.
We can't promise. We don't know the future. We can't predict the future.
That's right. And it's gravy. But because your stuff is that good, next time I give a class, I've given a couple classes in Ireland. Here I am, high school dropout, going to Marines, dumber than a fence post, end up becoming an aircraft mechanic. And I'm in Ireland teaching classes. If these guys ever knew I was a fraud, but this happens, right?
Yeah.
So I will highly recommend your book. I'm going to, and when you go to do a next project and you're doing a little low budget something,
give me a call if you're looking
Okay.
for some bodies, or if I see anybody coming up. And I promise you nothing. It could
Of
be the
course.
right place, the right time.
Yes.
And if you need equipment, I may still know one or two people, in the industry. So once
Are
again,
you
promise you
in
nothing.
LA?
No, I'm in Bakersfield. I left
Okay.
I left Baker's Gardena about a year ago.
Okay.
I bought a house at the highest I could. The next day it dropped in half. And it took me like 10 years to get all the way up to where I could off the sucker. And then when I
Oh,
put it up for sale, the market started going crazy. And we
yeah.
made enough money to sell that sucker off, move out to Bakersfield. Bakersfield, are you crazy?
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm a geezer. What am I going to go? Right. So we got a nice house at half the price. My house payments are half of what I was making. My taxes are half. And now I'm on a fixed income other than my SAG work, my
Yeah.
books, and whether, once again, this, I am living proof. Anybody can do anything they put their mind to, and anybody out there, you guys can do it too. Look at this young lady. Let her be your example. You're going to
Hopefully.
say, not hopefully. It's not, you already know it. You see, you're trying to be the humble and well, I always do that too. You be humble, but in your heart that you have it. It's just a case of being able to show it, prove it.
Right.
And that costs a lot of money. So you're
Yep.
going to do what you have to do the best you can, but you don't skimp, you don't slide by, you don't do any tricks. You're a straight up young lady, and it pays off. Just keep being who you are.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. I guess if I were to ask, do you have your book in schools and stuff? Because how do you get it into, because I want to get it into universities and film schools and stuff. How does that go? How does that work?
Here's my humility coming in.
Okay.
Trying to sound as humble as I can. I get a call from a friend of mine who's a Canadian, and he says, you cannot get in the union up here in Canada unless they have a copy of your grip book. They have to prove it.
Oh,
What an honor. So I call the union and say, is this true? And they went, no, I like it. I really appreciate it. They go, yeah, it's true. So you have to have, if you look in the bylaws, I think it was in Quebec or Vancouver,
yeah.
whatever it was. What an honor. Do you remember, and I'm sidetracking now, at Hollywood and Vine, what do you call it? The theater there, what's the Dolby Theater?
Yes, Dolby. Yes.
Okay. And they used to have the Walk of Fame. You go up the top, and there was a
Yes.
casting couch.
Yes.
And then it had sayings from actors and actresses and producers,
Mhm.
right? Did you remember that on the sidewalk?
Yes.
And just before you got to the casting couch, about 6 sayings back, was one from a key grip. That was a quote from my grip book.
Oh,
And I find out from a grip that I know, who from out of Texas, by the way,
okay.
Austin, Texas. His
Austin,
brother
Texas.
owns the grip shop over there.
Yeah.
I can't remember his brother's name, but he married some actress. And so here's this quote about myself and a kid that I met that came to this country that couldn't speak any English. He's my best boy. We've been partners for 40 years, and we kind of came up together. Once again, I got it in the grip book. I think there's a picture of it in the beginning. It's a saying. I came to this country, I scrubbed toilets, I did whatever I had to do, and then I broke into the film industry.
Yes.
So it's just quasi quote it right there.
Okay. But yeah.
So, and I'm up there at Hollywood and I see this, and they didn't have camera phones in. So I run over and I buy a $15 cardboard camera box and take a picture of it. And that's the one in the book.
That's so cool.
But that's not bragging. It's just determination. If I have nothing else in life, I have determination.
Sheer determination. They call that term grit. That's actually a technical term now.
They misspell grip.
That's a very good one, sir. That was very funny. Yes, but there is a term, grit. It's basically your willingness to get knocked down and come back up fighting.
Sure.
That I definitely have. Stubbornness, or you call it stubbornness, or grit, whichever one. But
I love the determination of. I love anybody. I have I call them my shiny apples. I'll get a student class of 30 students.
Yeah.
And I'll pick out 2 or 3 shiny apples. And every one of the shiny apples, 100% has made it to Key Grip.
Yeah.
Okay. Some went on to become cameramen and directors, but it's not me. But one of the deals, as soon as you come to my class, I don't want to give you a point. Literally the first day of class, by lunch, you're out there handling C-stands, you're working stuff because you came to learn. And
Yeah.
the best way to do is by
Doing.
seeing, touching,
Agreed. Yes.
split it, break it, bend it over, whatever. In your book, you have pictures, but you got comical educational things, that work and they stick in your brain. So basically, I'm telling you right now, I'm going to steal that idea. I'm going to pleasurize it, but I'm going to change it up. You'll never recognize it.
Sure.
No, I'm just
That's
kidding.
okay.
No,
Yes,
I'm old.
yes, yes.
I ain't going down that road again. Keep doing what you're doing.
Thank
It's
you.
wonderful.
Yeah, I hope that this gets into more people's hands, hopefully schools and whatnot, because I just wish I had something like this when I was starting off that was easy to understand and fun and everything. So that's all I really made it, was just so that I could impart some sort of knowledge on people.
I love it. What was the name of your new movie that you just came out with?
It's called Erzulie. I'm going to type in the chat. I hope you can watch it. I think you would find it very entertaining. It's a feminist swamp mermaid film, killer swamp mermaid film.
Is that do you like horror type films?
So,
what is your genre?
What's funny is I actually never in a million years thought I would do genre. In fact, I can pinpoint the exact time when I started to learn about genre. So part of the group. So the illustrations that you see are by Kellie Penna. She's usually my production designer. And then in the book, there's these little poems that are, I call them poetry art. They're by my former production sound person. They love genre. And we like to do little mini exercises to kind of practice our creativity and think outside the box type thing. And there was a contest for, there's a film festival called the Fantasia Film Festival, which is, I think, the largest genre, or one of the more popular genre film festivals that happens in Montreal. And the contest was to celebrate their 20th anniversary. And what the contest was make a 1-minute bumper that would celebrate 20. And my friend Jason was like, well, it'd be really funny if like this head, we pulled off his head and threw it and there was a lot of blood and then he was like, anyway, that was just what I thought. And I thought it was the most hilarious thing ever. So I wrote this tiny short where this guy pulls off his head like it's a football. He tosses the head and then he uses his intestines and they measure the distance between his intestines to where his head lands, and it's 20. And they're like, hey, it's 20. So that's how we celebrate 20. And that thing went into Fantasia Film Festival. And at that time, I was like, well, I'm not really like a horror person. So like, you guys go. And nobody had a passport except me. So then I'm like, okay, I guess I'm going to go to this horror film festival. And I don't even watch horror. And I went and I was blown away. My understanding of what genre meant was so myopic. I didn't realize it encompassed so many things. And what I do love about genre is the ability to bend visual aesthetic elements. And I decided to make Erzulie because I wanted to play with prosthetics. I wanted to explore, I guess, grunge neo-noir. I love neon. I think that's such a cool look. The whole film stemmed from a visual I had. There's two specific visuals. One visual was a bloody mermaid eating a man's heart. And then the other visual is I've always wanted to recreate that film noir shot where there's a man floating in the pool. You know, that like quintessential iconic film noir shot. And I got to do both in my film, but the entire script was basically around these two images, and I co-wrote it with a friend, and we decided to make that film because I actually was going to make a different film, but then the pandemic hit, and it was an extremely serious film, which I still plan on making. But I typically write pretty dark things that are introspective about the world. And I figured after the pandemic, most people probably just want to have fun. And so
Right.
I said, well, then I want to make something like how Steven Spielberg did, which is these family fun, not so serious films that, but have deeper meaning within. And so that after the pandemic, people can spend time with their friends and they can have it projected on the side of their house and while they're drinking and having fun and still enjoying the film. Or Austin has this Alamo Draft House. I don't know if you're super familiar with that chain, but there's a Alamo Draft House theater chain, and they do this partnership. They used to, they haven't done it since the pandemic, but they did Jaws on the water, where you watch Jaws while you're sitting in inner tubes in the water. And I thought that was the coolest thing ever. Like I envision, 5 years, 10 years from now, when people actually, the word of mouth has spread, it's become a cult film. That's my hope, that people will sit in their inner tubes and watch this killer mermaid on screen right before it can open or end for like a Jaws special or something like that. But I don't know. I just wanted to make something fun like that, and Erzulie came to life. So
isn't that funny? I mean,
yeah.
you did good. The thing is, you explained it all. I'm hoping for you. Someday maybe that will happen. You just
Can't
never
predict
know.
the future. Yes. Yeah.
Keep it up.
Yeah. We'll see what happens. I'll send you a IMDb link so you can go check it out and everything. I'd be interested in knowing your thoughts on it. I feel like you would enjoy it or appreciate it. But yeah, I raised 230,000. The whole thing was done with post for 225, and we used the rest of it for this tour, marketing thing that I did. And
Right.
I toured the film until the money ran out. And now it's up to the world to have it live on or fade into oblivion. Who knows?
Sure. But see, there once again, people that talk about it, and people did it. You did it. If nothing else, you've done that. That I already did one of those. Been there, done that. Next.
That is the part that I get to say is like, I did it. I at least did it. And
now you wrote that with a co-host, right?
Yes. Yeah.
A co-writer.
Yeah, co-writer. So I had written, it started off as a short script I found it. It's about 7 pages. The beats are the same in terms of the premise of it, but we deep dived into it, and it's a whole full-on feature. And I have plans to have at least 2 other sequels, but budget-wise, it will be a big one. It cannot be done at 225. I'm thinking it's more like a 15 mil type films. So I'll have to wait. Like Avatar, I'm just gonna have to shelve it for a bit and then come out with it when people want to invest in whatever I want to do next. So
you never know what's going to happen tomorrow.
Exactly.
Really, and it does happen. Like you have your dreams. I have. We talk about serendipity, how things just happen, how they work. When I was in the Marines, I was coming back from overseas and I was getting close to my discharge. And so I get into this transport outfit, and it was an old tail dragging airplane out at El Toro, which is long gone.
Okay.
And I meet this master gunnery sergeant, top of the enlisted ranks, and he's flying co-pilot on what I've never saw an enlisted man fly. You got to be an officer. Well, during World War II, they didn't have enough pilots to ferry the airplanes, so they had more more airplanes than pilots. So they took the mechanics and make them into ferry pilots. They fly from island to island, driving them up. Well, then since if they get attacked, they had to learn how to fire their guns. Well, the true story is 2,500 men over the World War II became pilots. There was one pilot out of that program called Chuck Yeager,
Okay.
who broke the sound barrier.
Oh, okay.
Started out as an enlisted man. Another, Carroll Shelby, who flew Mustangs, and then he got out and he designed the Mustang for Ford.
Wow.
Carroll Shelby.
Yeah.
So these are these enlisted pilots, and my guy's name was Tippatu. So his nickname was Tippy. So I'm with my wife, and he's telling me all these BS stories about World War II. I'm like, man, you know, he's getting out. He's close to retirement. I'm close to staying in, right?
Sure.
And so what I'm going to stay in or get out. So he tells me stories. So years later, I'm sitting with my current wife, and I'm in a restaurant. And all his stories, literally, like you hear about this, flooded in my head. And I'm grabbing her napkin and my napkin, and I'm putting the big chunks down on these napkins. And I have a story on Amazon, self-published. It's called Tippy, and the reviews are pretty good.
Okay.
I mean,
okay.
There's one guy, right? I got like 4 and 5 star reviews on it. One guy gives me a 4-star, and then his reasoning was odd. But long story short, it's based on a true story, but it's a fictionalized story. The whole story, the whole premise of the story is enlisted men who became generals, ace pilots. With ace pilots, you've shot down 5 airplanes in combat. So this is the whole story of it. And then when this guy is this killer Marine, you know, he's the whole 9 yards. And it starts off after the war at his funeral. He was the pastor of the local church.
Yeah.
How did he go from fighter pilot to pastor of a church?
Huh.
And so that I wrote that story, and that my thing was trying to get it into making a movie.
Yeah.
So from that, once again, I can't write, I can't spell. People tell me, you know, your syntax is off. And I went, what is syntax? I don't even know what syntax is. So
yes.
I don't know all the words, but I've been on enough sets and I've seen enough movies that I can piece it together. So
Sure.
I've been writing my scripts, and that's one of my scripts that I want to do. My 8th wonder of the world is get Tippy filmed, or my other one called Fade Out, about a film crew who's in a foreign country. There's a coup d'etat. It's just a small film crew making a commercial on Suzuki type bikes, and there's a coup d'etat, and no one's going to come save them. So they got to use all their skills plus the product they're filming, plus the skills that they had prior to getting into the film industry, such as an EMT.
Oh, that's great. That's
and
great.
They use it, and they continue making the commercial pretending like they don't know about the coup d'etat, because everybody's pretending, you know, during this deal. Oh, we're helping you all we can, yada yada. And so they use the movies and these people's past experience and relight the situation, and they escape right before their captor's eyes.
Yeah.
And that one's called Fade Out.
Fade Out. But there's no book version of it, right?
There's a book version.
Okay, because I'm looking for it.
Go to Amazon and just type in Tippy. And
I found Tippy, but
okay.
I found it. Fade Out. Oh wait, no, that's music.
Okay, click on my name.
Yeah, I see it. Fade Out.
Tippy,
Nothing but smoke and mirrors. Yeah. Okay.
Once again, people have read it and said, great concept. This guy can't spell for crap. You know, and some of the reviews on there are kind of crappy, but once again, people told me my grip book would never make it. Never take no for an answer. Never.
Correct. That's how I was even able to make the film. My film was because I didn't take no for an answer.
How'd you get your dollies? How'd you get your cranes? How'd you get your equipment?
We didn't have a crane or a dolly. We had Steadicam.
Okay.
Yeah, we had a Steadicam op, friend of mine. And so he was able to do it for next to nothing because he believed in me. And so it was mainly handheld sticks, and we did have a little bit of slider, but because we were shooting this in the swamp of Louisiana, it was really hard to get any kind of equipment there.
Right.
On a low budget, very, very low budget. So Yeah, but no, I raised the money. It was one of the hardest things I ever done, but we did it. I want to read. I'm gonna read I want to read both of them. I have Tippy right now pulled up, but I'm gonna read. Fade
I'll,
Out
I'll,
sounds
s-
really
I'll
interesting.
send you electronic versions.
Oh,
Don't
good,
mind.
cool. Yeah, I would
Don't mind.
love to read
Yeah.
it.
And be honest with me. The thing is, like, I've had people look them over and tell me, okay, you got to do that. I don't know how to, I'm basically too old and too gray. If the concept's there, I'm selling the concept of it. And
Yeah.
the people that have read the story, they said, this guy's writing is bizarre. He's all over the map. If you read some of the reviews, but it's a good story. And if you look at Tippy, it's got some pretty good stuff. And people, when they're spending their money, they're not going to lie. They're going to tell you if it's crap.
Sure.
1 star, this guy's, don't waste your money. And people do say that. And there's an old Hollywood saying that covers that. You know what that old saying is?
What?
Oh, well, I was looking for a job when I found this one.
Oh, well. Nice. Yeah. No, I'm
Feel
gonna
free
read
to
that. That's
steal 'em.
fun. So is that your bucket list then? Is
That's
getting
my bucket list. I have
okay.
5 or 6 of them. I grew up during the 60s and surfing was just coming in. The Beach Boys were called the Pendletons. I grew up in the same town as those kids, right? So that's one of those weird deals, those coincidental things in life. And
Yeah.
they literally lived from where I was living. We lived in the city of Hawthorne, home of the Beach Boys, and they lived maybe 2 miles from where I lived. The
Yeah.
same housing type area, one of those deals. And so
Yeah.
there was this young lady that wanted to learn how to surf. And he said, girls don't surf. They didn't
Yeah.
surf.
Right.
And so this girl decided she was going to learn how to surf.
Yep.
And she came from Tennessee with her family. They lost her mother, moved out here to get a job, the defense plants out here. Long story short, nobody had let her surf. So she cuts all her hair off and makes it into a crew cut and puts on a t-shirt. And so they think
yes.
she goes from Geraldine to Jerry. So she
Ah.
gets this old beat up surfboard and she learns how to surf, but the surfboard's got a hole in it and it sprays water through it. So they nickname her Spray. And that's the name of the book.
Ah. Is that one written too?
Yeah.
You already wrote that one as well? So you have Tippy and Fade Out and also Spray?
Yeah. Let me give you, if you
Yeah.
got a second,
Yeah, send them to me. I like reading stories, so
I hope you like these. These are fun for me. I had
Yeah.
fun. If nobody else enjoys them, I had a ball writing them.
cool.
And that's okay. Let me see what the heck I do with all this stuff.
Huh.
Don't you hate that when you can't find something you're looking for?
Oh, it's all good. Take your time, because you have my email, so you can send it to me there too. I found because I have Tippy queued up, and I also have Fade Out. I can get with my Kindle.
One of my favorites I wrote. Well, here's the names. Egypt, like you
Oh.
dip somebody, but it's spelled E-JIPPED. Egypt. It's about a Tony Soprano type who ends up with a time machine and he goes back in time and he makes a deal with the pharaohs to bring them a book on how to build the pyramids in exchange for gold.
Oh, I see that. Yeah.
And then I have Hell on Heels. It's the devil's daughter who is a fashionista. And she makes a deal. She has to go after a person, but God doesn't want her to take this person. So he sends this angel of death to protect the soul.
Oh, wow. Oh, yeah, I see that. I like that cover.
And then Junk, it's a sci-fi with all the junk that's in outer space and how that all connected. And it tied into our past from thousands of years ago, that where it all really started. So those are the kind of stories I like.
Okay.
The eclectic mix of gobbledygook. But what do I got to lose? I'm going to try. If maybe something hits, it does. If it doesn't,
Yeah,
that's fine
yeah,
too.
that's how it goes. Yeah, and I'm constantly writing too. I have a few scripts and pilots that I'm trying to pitch, and we'll see what happens.
Keep trying.
Keep trying. Exactly. That's all you can do. Can't predict the future, but you can
And if
keep
I
trying.
never get, and if never gets picked, no one ever discovers me. There's an old Hollywood saying, and that saying is,
Oh well.
See how much better
Oh
you feel
well.
about it? Oh well.
Oh well. Go on to the next thing.
You got it. Well, hopefully I've answered some of your questions.
Yes.
We did find out I talk a lot and
That's
fast,
okay.
and
It was great. It was
got-
great having you on.
my
And
pleasure.
I will send you some links. You will send me some links, and hopefully we stay in contact. And I can't predict the future, but if and when I do get the next film project, I'll hopefully be able to call you up. So
And I'll see what I can do. Once again, promise nothing. Hopefully I'm
exactly.
still alive. I may not make it till this evening, but that's okay. And if I die right now, oh well.
Oh well. Oh,
Always leaving laughing.
oh well. Well, sir, thank you so much for your time and for imparting your knowledge and everything. I really appreciate it. So,
It's been an honor.
yes, sir.